Welcome to Mr. UFC Vegas Fight Club TV. I am Kyle, your host. Welcome to the podcast and welcome to the bet review show for UFC on Fox 128 Barboza versus Lee. We're going to go over our three plays that we had in the card. Obviously, go over our best bet play, our overall feel for the card, and my trip in Atlantic City. So we'll go over all of that today. So if you have not yet done so, subscribe, like, head kick the bell icon, get involved in Fight Club TV, a UFC show and gambling show all in one spot. So today is the bet review show, and obviously we got our video out there from our trip in Atlantic City. Hope you guys enjoyed that, had some funny comments from everybody, had a great time there. We got out there and we ate at the Palms. It was a great steakhouse that's in Tropicana. Did a very good job there, enjoyed it. Me and my wife ate there, and then you saw our transportation, how we headed over to the show, and had a great time there. Really, it was a great venue. I've been to many different venues. I've been in Vegas, UFC 200. I've been to MSG for UFC 217. I've been to Prudential Center. So I've been to a couple different ones. This one was interesting because I enjoy Atlantic City, but I've never been to an event there, and it's one of those places. Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City is kind of one of those old time places, and that's a place that actually Mayweather has fought in the past. So it was really great to kind of see it rejuvenated and reviving, and they're really now trying to make that into possibly an area to do it once a year. So I would definitely be getting involved in that. It's going to be exciting to see what goes on and for the UFC in Atlantic City if they continue to build upon that. And I think it was a good outcome there. I think it was a great card overall. The attendance was great. So it was great. It was really, there was a lot of hustle and bustle going around in Atlantic City, a lot of people around. So I think that definitely brought business to Atlantic City, having UFC there. So really hope that they're able to kind of, continue to do that. And like I said, again, it's another spot that I'll definitely be going, because I definitely want to be going to Madison Square Garden again in November. And they are shooting for a possibility for Khabib to maybe be fighting in November. Would love to see that. If it's Conor, I will be there, and you guys will be coming along with me on that if that's the case. But we'll see how that goes as we get closer to November. But let's look at UFC Fight Night 128 Barboza versus Lee. And the first thing we'll do is we'll get into our best bet, which was an interesting play here. Now, before, I got a little pushback, because when we started talking about this fight, some people were saying they really like Barboza. They thought that, a lot of people were sleeping on Barboza and his takedown ability, on the fact that what Khabib did to him the last time that they fought. So having another wrestler come in, and, I felt good that was the path to victory, that he would take the exact same path. And if you go to the prediction show, that's what we basically talked about, that was going to be a spot we felt that he was going to be able to, be able to stand striking but work those takedowns. That quick first step that he has is something that is really, really monumental with his takedown opportunities. He is just very, very fast. Great cage movement. I mean, there are some people out there that I do say it for, hey, Greg, but he does. He moves around, he bounces around, he's got a lot of agility. I think he's got a ton of stamina. So it's interesting to see where he goes. But in this fight, now, you guys, I recorded a lot of that on my trip there. But, in this fight, when it first started out, what was he going to do? What was Kevin going to do? And now he said he's comfortable with his striking, comfortable with standing and striking with his opponent, but would he be able to actually kind of do that? He didn't. He did it for a very short time, but the takedown ability for him, he goes in there and he goes in with everything. He doesn't half-ass his takedowns. He doesn't kind of catch a feel for it. Even in the Frankie fight, Frankie's sometimes will, almost just to make you work, he'll shoot for a takedown, knowing that he's not fully committing to it. But, I mean, if it's there, he's going to go for it. But more or less to just tire you out, to move you around, to always be worrying about it, And Kevin Lee, his quickness is really unbelievable. I think it's really underrated how fast he is. But the one thing that he did, and he did it throughout this fight, was the fact that he never let Barboza be comfortable. He never gave him the opportunity to really set and work his stand-up game. And, you know, when he did, you know, Barboza has, you know, the switch kick. It's probably the quickest switch kick in UFC history. You know, his spin kick. I mean, his kicks are so fast. But when he doesn't have that, and all Lee seemed that he needed to do was just continually disrupt and disrupt and disrupt and disrupt. He didn't have to, you know, by a jab, even if it's just a short jab or something, or maybe even it's just like, you know, a quick combination. He bounces back out and then he comes back in. He just never gave Barboza the opportunity to set himself, to set his legs, to set his feet, and to really work those combinations. When he did, that's when Barboza did damage. That's when you saw Barboza was able to get in there, manipulate some movement for Lee. But when he standed, the striking is just, I mean, Barboza is an unbelievable striker, so I can't say that Lee is a better striker than him. But the fact that Barboza, when he had the opportunity, was able to capitalize on it, and that's something that Lee would not give him the chance for, and that was something going into this fight that I was hoping he would not give him the chance for. I was like, I really hope that Kevin Lee does what he can do just to win this fight. And he went out there was some boos. You know, people were saying, you know, stand him up, and I was saying, you know, let them lay. So, you know, you know, he did a lot of damage, and the much as that people were kind of chanting and booing and you know, that kind of stuff, he was mauling Barboza. Lee was mauling Barboza from the beginning of that fight to the end of that fight. Barboza, middle of that maybe the second round, he looked exhausted. It was almost like his face looked like, holy shit, the same thing's happened to me again. The same thing is about to happen to me again. I'm about to be thrown to the ground for 5 straight rounds and be just abused for 25 minutes. And I think that started to really play into his head. And I think that was partially what I was feeding off of when I was really diving into this, was that's on the back of his head. He took a beating from Khabib, and now Lee, another guy who really thought that he saw the path to victory, and I think that was basically what I was kind of seeing, and he was able to do it, and he did it in such a flawless fashion. I mean, Kevin Lee's face was really spotless. I mean, it was really spotless. There was really, he didn't have, you know, I mean, of course, there's nicks and that kind of stuff, but he really, really did a great job by staying out of trouble. Now he started to get a little confidence when he did the stanky leg and got the spin kick to the temple. I mean, I'm sitting there having my drink, sitting there relaxing, thinking that you know, we're heading deep into this fight. It is just lopsided at this point. I mean, I didn't even actually look at the scorecards, but it was just lopsided at this point. And throws that spin kick, and I thought, there it goes. That's it. That's MMA for you in a whole. That one guy could be dominating, and the other guy just catches you once. Whether it's, you know, in the heavyweight division where a guy all of a sudden, you know, is getting his butt kicked and throws a heavy overhand right and puts you down. I mean, anything can happen. A guy like Barboza, who's dangerous, obviously that's what he's capable of doing. But it was great to see Kevin Lee get the victory for us. We had put 2 units on Kevin Lee, which now puts us, for the year, 17 wins, 6 losses for the best bet. We are now plus 15.3 units on the best bet this year. So not doing too bad. Really happy we got that victory in. There's a little bit of a lull now between this fight, Atlantic City fight, and the next one. So, you know, it's nice to get that victory and be able to now focus on to the next card. And, you know, we're going to be, you know, diving into that, obviously, you know, in the coming days, I guess, because we do have some time in between that card coming out. So we'll more on that we get closer. But again, now back to Kevin Lee and Barboza. Great win. Happy that Kevin Lee was able to get it. Really interested to see what happens here. I mean, he has been calling out Khabib for quite some time. He has really been just keep being vocal about it, and I like it. I think that's a great fight. Without a doubt, we need to see Khabib versus Conor. That's what needs to happen. I mean, everything else, push everything else out of the way. Conor versus Khabib needs to be happening. Hopefully November, like I'm saying, in Madison Square Garden. But, you know, that fight needs to be happening, and it's something for the division. It's something for the prosperity of the division, to give the division more clarity. And I think that's just what the people want to see. There doesn't need to be a hype fight. There doesn't need to be, a tune-up fight. Or both of these guys, their star is shining, and there's no reason for this not to happen. So hopefully that's what's going to be happening coming up. But if it doesn't, if for some reason it doesn't, I would love to see a Kevin Lee versus Khabib fight. I would really love to see that fight. I think stylistically it's impressive for the both of them, and it's going to be very intriguing how they would really attack it, how it would be. Khabib and Kevin Lee are very, they kind of course, they like to get you to the ground, but Kevin Lee and Khabib are very different once you have them on the ground. And I think that Khabib is more of that. He doesn't care how you're laying on the ground. He's just able to just kind of lay his body weight on top of you and just continually punch you. Doesn't really look to change positions, get a better spot on the ground. Where Kevin Lee, he's really moving around so quickly, going from one spot to another spot to, half guard, half guard to a full mount. And the way he's able to just switch through is flawless and so smooth. And it would be very interesting to see Khabib, who also, of course, likes to be on the ground, and where that would really go. Would really love to see that fight. Hopefully it happens. But again, Kevin Lee gets us the victory. We cash in 17-6 plus 15.3 units on best bet for this year. So we'll have to do the next one on the next card, and looking forward to that. So now the next play that we had was Frankie Edgar versus Cub Swanson. Now, this one was, again, the same thing. Frankie was more of a favorite here compared to some of the other fights there. But Frankie was able to really, first let me take that back for a second. When I was looking at this fight, we had talked about the same thing, and again on the prediction show we talked about this, that the fact that the last time that they met, a couple of years ago, Frankie just relentlessly took down Cub about 7 or 8 times over the span of 3 rounds, which is already very impressive. Now, that's something that Cub has been, he's been taken down in his career many times, and that's something where I thought Frankie would really expose. Frankie was able to do a great job, keep the pressure on. As soon as he didn't have the pressure on, you saw where Cub was able to really start to implement a little bit more of his game plan. And I thought that the one thing, because I rewatched these fights on TV, wanted to get the, hear the announcers and kind of the spots and what they had to say, and kind of the corners as well. And I thought it was interesting where it was the end of the second round, and Cub asked his corner, how am I doing? Am I winning? Something to that effect, am I winning? And his team, now you're going into the third round. I thought it was pretty obvious that it was a 2-0. I thought it was pretty obvious. Of course, when you're a fighter, I'm sure there's a lot going on, and you're not able to fully grasp where the momentum is, who's winning. You're out there scrapping. But the corner should give you a realistic view of what's happening, unless they're not fully aware of it themselves. I'm not sure. But they just kind of said, oh, you're doing all right. They didn't really go out there and knock him out. You're losing. You're losing. Plus, you're in Jersey. And even if it's a very close round, it's a good chance Frankie's going to get that round. It's a very good chance. So I thought that even Cub into that third round didn't really pour it on the way that he should have. Although I was happy about it, I just thought that, going into that third round, I said, Cub is going to come out and he's going to go out there and really put the pressure on. He didn't really do it. And again, in spots where Frankie kind of laid up a little bit, again, that's where Cub started to find some success. So I thought it was interesting to kind of hear that. And then, the fact that he wasn't sure, and then even the corner didn't really guide him the way that they should have guided him for a guy who's, such a great mixed martial artist in Cub Swanson. But however it may be. But I really like the way, again, that Frankie did a great job. People kind of were knocking him on the fact that he's coming back so quickly. He did a phenomenal job really working himself in such a short time to get back in and to really just have focus and win in a home crowd was really fun. The chants were going on, people were going crazy. It was really, really, just a great atmosphere. And to see him also get the victory, get us to cash in also. So we also won on Frankie Edgar. Happy to get that victory as well. Did parlay them as we talked about again. I did parlay Frankie and Kevin Lee. Was able to maximize some of my winnings there, so can't be too upset about that. And then the last play we had, which was our smallest play, a half a unit play, which was on David Branch versus Thiago Santos. Half a unit play, one of my smaller plays, but this was a fight where I really thought that Thiago Santos was gonna really just be able to pour it on. He is just overall well-rounded and really spectacular. Even when I went back and looked at his fights, I said, this guy has got just great, he's just growing and evolving, and he's got a lot more to go, and I really just think that he's on the right path. But the vet, David Branch, came out there and actually beat Santos at his own game. I mean, really went out there and beat him out at his own game. Able to knock him out in the first round with a terrific overhand, put him to sleep. I mean, it was really something. I said, listen, if Branch is going to win, it's going to be on the ground. That was really where I was headed with this, and I more thought that Santos wouldn't really be able to be taken to the ground very much. I didn't think he'd be able to really get to the ground very much. So Branch ends up putting him away. Great finish by him. It was also nice. I ended up, you couldn't see it. I was really kind of hoping you guys would be able to see it. But when I had got down there, I told my wife, I said, I want to go down there and tell David Branch that I didn't bet on him. And just to see his reaction, just to, and it was funny because a lot of the guys, and we did have that on film, a lot of the guys actually who were sitting in front of us were from one of his gyms. So they were going berserk when he had put him away. So, it was great, again, great atmosphere. But when he put him away, those guys were going nuts. So a lot of those guys were actually in front of me when I had gone down to where the fighters were actually leaving the cage. So I got down there, and they're giving high fives, and David Branch gave me a high five, and I said, I should have took you, I should have bet you, and he goes, why wouldn't you? And he kind of laughed, and then I wanted to say more, but obviously it was kind of chaotic there. But I liked his response. It was pretty funny to see to get some kind of interaction with him. But I got to tip my hat to him. Did a great job. Well, interesting to see where he goes also. I mean, that's a big win for him. He loses there. Things start to trend the other way for him. Thiago Santos was on a 4-fight win streak, all knockouts. So he's taken a little bit of a back step, but this is a very big step forward for David Branch. Interesting to see kind of where he plays out and what he ends up doing. Also, it was great to see. We saw Chris Weidman there. We saw Eddie Alvarez there. Obviously, we saw Ali Quinta there. Gave Al a little gentleman high five, handshake. It was just, it was a great atmosphere again, like I said. So really looking forward to going back there and having another card. Who doesn't like that? And then the other fights, just to look at it, Justin Willis. Really thought, he did get the victory. Really thought he would actually put him away, Chase away. Didn't. He almost had a chance early in that fight. Didn't, but ended up getting the victory. Aljamain, I thought Aljamain looked good. I think he looked good. He looks really in incredible shape. I thought he looked really incredible shape. He's gonna, continue to move up more. Brett, I think John's, I think he was just. It's just not his time. I think, he just doesn't look like he's really, he had a great finish in his fight prior, but this was a different beast for him, and it was great to see Aljo get the victory. And then the Jersey boy, Jim Miller, and Dan Hooker. Although I was on Dan Hooker, Jim Miller was put away in spectacular fashion by an incredible knee, and and then he was able to be finished on the ground. So great night of fights, and we can't complain. We did pretty well, won some money. We're at the tables, we won some money, got some great footage here for the Fight Club, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Some of your comments were pretty hilarious, and again, We're going to keep doing this kind of stuff, and this is the kind of content that I want to bring to the channel, is just, you know, whether they're going to fights, trips, anything like that, bring you guys along as we continue to grow this channel and continue to do more stuff and more different types of content here. So there you have it, guys. Best bet hit, Kevin Lee hit 2 units. Now we are 17-6 for the year with plus 15.3 units on the year. So there you have it. If you guys have not done so, subscribe, like, head kick the bell icon, get involved in Fight Club TV. And this is Mr. UFC Vegas, Fight Club TV.